Hi everyone, how are you guys doing? Well, you guys can't respond to me, so I don't know what I was waiting for. It's been a day. Um, uh, Master Jedi will be joining us shortly, and then we'll get started. Professor Hefe won't be in today to do the captions. He is teaching a live class, so he won't be available. So when the captions get out, I'll make that a priority for everyone to get those posted as soon as possible. Well, speak of the devil, how are you, Master Jedi?
Can you hear me?
Now I can.
All right. I'm doing fantastic. How's everybody doing today?
Hopefully good.
Hopefully good.
Hopefully good, right? Okay.
Being really great by Friday. I'll tell you folks what, you're in for a real treat. And I am enjoying the heck out of making you all squirm.
You know, I know it's coming and I'm still like, wait, what is it? And then I'm like, oh yeah,
Oh yeah, you know what it is.
know
But I
what it is.
just love watching everybody squirm.
Yes, and that's something. It's fun. I mean, we have to let you have a little bit of fun and build a little bit of excitement for you because I mean, it is exciting. So,
It's exciting.
if you guys, I know someone, I think Misky was already spamming the AMA, but if you guys could hit Telegram and Discord again if you haven't already, and then we'll get started.
Oh, right.
All right, so basically I'll start and go ahead and give you guys an update on the foundation side. So we have been pursuing collaborations with different communities as far as underrepresented cultural stuff, women in crypto, women in Web3, to look at the Lunar minting app. So I've got a few contacts from the NFT community that we're looking at for doing that. We're also looking at basically other avenues for revenue. As you guys know, that we have done the Flues widget and we're working on getting that done. And then Professor was talking about some stuff in the questions, and we'll get to that shortly. Let's see, what else? The level 20 contest is over and all the prizes have been awarded. We also have some cool community news. So we have the Shill Squad. I'm not sure if everyone is familiar with that. What is, people go and they make posts for Lunar, different categories and different things to qualify. And then our lovely mod, Miska Lunatic, does the awards for that, and then people can exchange that for Lunar rewards through the game item store, things like that. It's $25 Lunar for every million of Stardust, and it sounds like quite a bit, but I mean, I'm giving those rewards all the time, so I feel like if you put enough, 15 minutes a day or so, it adds up pretty quick. Along with that, there is a $100,000 Stardust, or dollar, excuse me.
Whew.
I know that habit. 100,000 Stardust winner for retweeting, and that'll be awarded during the AMA. Misky has a wonderful video for that. If we want to go ahead and go to main chat so we can watch that real quick. Boop, boop. I guess I should ask Misky if he's ready, huh? Oh, look, there you go.
Yeah.
Nice. So it's spinning ever so slowly. Oh, there we go. Okay, that's more dramatic. I'm a fan. Awesome. So the winner is Brizzy. So congrats. We'll have Misky award that to you if he hasn't already. That was awesome. I like
Right.
you doing that, Misky.
That's fun.
Okay. We'll go ahead and get to some of the questions. We only had the one from Prof that I had mentioned before.
Do we want to go through the weekly update?
Yeah, absolutely.
Summarize our event first?
Absolutely. Go for it.
Yeah, so I want to make sure everybody, and to reiterate for the entire community, I know there have been some questions about like, hey, how come we're not putting more information in Discord and Telegram and all that good stuff? You're asking the right questions, folks. The answer is we want to be able to drive the community to get information about the Lunar Dao in a way that keeps that information within the Lunar Dao. And that means that the announcements are primarily going to be done through the Lunar Dao website. If you want to be up to date on what's going on a weekly basis, that's the place to be. However, have heard feedback that people should get to know what's going on a little bit more often. So, while I'm not always a fan of having more things added to my plate, we are going to start trying to give slightly less detailed monthly updates. Probably not anywhere near what the CTO's Corner used to be, um, because that was really my opportunity to keep people up to date on what's going on and write a bunch of stuff. And like, we've already written a ton of stuff on the governance site, and that's your place to go for information. So totally understand the concept of just wanting to be able to scroll through the chat and see it, but really need folks, if you want to be up to date on the very latest on what's going on, to be in the DAO governance. Check out the weekly updates. We got a lot of information in there. I think we're coming up on 200 members. So definitely needs to get a lot higher. Need you folks to jump in there, governance.lunar.io, and check that out. In there this week, we talked about all of the work that was done to announce Lunar Mint last week and the official branding for the platform. Did a lot of work, not just in the branding process, in updating the roadmap, in our detailed explanation of how we expect that platform to work. We also talked about all of the work that was done in the code base to be able to support those changes as we continue to evolve everything that needs to be done. There are now no less than 4 WebAssembly apps that we have to manage as part of this process. And so like the amount of code that the Foundation controls and the DAO owns grows greater every day. For those of you that hadn't seen it yet, we are already deploying Lunar Mint builds in both dev and beta. That does not mean we are presently beta testing yet. It just means that we've updated our release processes and we have builds flowing consistently. So I'm personally very excited about that. There's a lot of work that was done behind the scenes to be able to get everything polished up and ready to go with this new brand, to be able to make sure that the brand fits well within the Lunar ecosystem and that there's good contrast with the different products that we're building and releasing. So there's a lot going on there. A lot going on this week as well in setting us up for the NFT sale. I hope to have the metadata update done shortly, and we'll have a lot of stuff lined up. We've heard feedback that the website needs updating, the NFT stuff needs more, the crystals need more stuff going on there. So we're putting in efforts in those areas as well. Don't worry, we will be setting this up for success as much as humanly possible. I know Shepard's been working diligently on contract updates. We were able to make some optimizations yesterday that dropped the size of the contract down dramatically, which is able to help us be able to build in new features moving forward. For those of you that don't know, Solidity contracts have a like a maximum size, and then you have to start breaking other things out. And oddly enough, part of the reason that and this was really weird to find out. Part of the reason that error messages suck in the blockchain ecosystem is that strings, which are just like lengths of text, are really expensive to store on contracts. Like ridiculous. It takes so much space. And so we're working on some new and innovative ways to be able to maintain the level of information that we want to let people know about when a problem happens, without the error messages totally leaving us unable to innovate new features on the contracts. So probably more information about Solidity than you wanted to hear, but that's what we're here for, folks. Education. Okay, we're educating. So you had a lot of stuff going on this week. Very excited about. I've been teasing you folks. What I've been teasing you with was actually done last week, but is not on the list. And we've got some really exciting stuff coming. So stay tuned for that. Every guess so far has been wrong, and I will continue to enjoy watching wrong answers because there are only 6 people on the planet that know 7 people on the planet that know what this is, and you all are wrong. So that's all there is to it. But I enjoy the guesses, so please feel free to keep guessing. That's it for me.
No, it's awesome. I did want to give you guys an update. Just some of the suggestions, like Master Jedi had said, is we are going to make getting the website updated. I know that was been brought up a couple times, so we are hearing you, and that's going to be taken care of. We are also looking into getting some of the stuff corrected for CMC. Master Jedi has been diligently working on that, and once that's done, we're going to look at doing a campaign with them, an application at least for airdrops and similar kind of things. All of that stuff will be all written up and given, and the information given to the DAO beforehand. That way you guys have an idea, and we'll look at everything before that goes to fruition. Let's see what else. I think that part, as far as us, I just wanted to let you guys know that, your suggestions are always welcome and that we are listening and we are getting those implemented as quickly as possible. I'm excited about the Mint. Personally, like I said, I am part of the NFTs are what brought me here. So I have been in contact with a couple of the women in Web3. Some of them are in some conferences, in the NFT conference in New York, so they're busy right now, but when they told me they'd get back to me, so hopefully I have some good news to share with you guys as far as, collaborations and things with them that could be upcoming. And I think that
Outstanding.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited. They asked me not to share anything yet until they can kind of confirm some more information.
Yep.
One of the ladies, she has over 400,000 followers, so she's a big deal. I actually bought one of her first collections, so pretty exciting. And that's how we ended up meeting. Let's see. I think that's pretty much as far as the community. We can go ahead and get to the AMA questions.
I wanted to point out too, while you're on that subject, you saw us mention very, very briefly about underrepresented communities in the Lunar Mint platform. That's going to be a priority for us moving forward in a lot of ways. It's personally, if you're familiar with some of the people that know who I am and the work that I do, a majority of my day is spent making sure, just between this platform and everything else that I do, that underrepresented voices get a seat at the table and get to be heard and treated with respect and treated with the respect they deserve. And moving forward, as you look at who we're going to be targeting with these platforms, we are going to be giving priority to those types of voices and those types of customers because they are generally amazing and untapped markets and under-resourced. And so part of our mission is to give those groups the resources they need to be able to be amazing. And it's a personal point of pride for me to be able to be a part of that and to be genuine about how we approach that. So I'm very excited for whatever Sil has cooked up for us, and you can expect more of that as we're moving forward.
Okay, so I will go ahead and get to Professor Hefe's question. He goes, so, all right, so this is likely going to be an unpopular question. He goes, shouldn't new products go through the LIP process? And he goes, while I'm excited about the teasers that Master Jedi is showing, especially teaser 3 this morning, I can't help but think that a good amount of time and resources were spent on this when we should be finishing the product lines we already have on the table. We have finite resources to get something going that produces revenue so that we can keep affording to build new product lines like these. Okay, so as far as the LIP through, so some of that stuff is extremely, I'm trying to think of the way to say this. So having a new product go through the ecosystem and to have tens of thousands and things of people go through it is something that is not necessarily the best course of action or required. So the Lunar Foundation handles the day-to-day for the Lunar Dao. And in those things is kind of the business. So anytime there's any expense incurred when it comes to creating a new product, that is what goes through Lunar Dao for approval. None of that stuff, basically, the dev team or any of that funding would go through without being approved first. So yes, you have a say in what is being built. You just don't get to like say, I want this built unless the whole DAO is like, no, this is not what we're going to do. So basically, the foundation is empowered to kind of do the day-to-day of the DAO. And then it involves working to ship and innovate products. Short timeframes are usually the best for those if we can help that. And then diversifying the treasury without selling Lunar is one of our big priorities right now. Having the new products with multiple sources of income is one of the ways that we can do that. The new product is being announced soon. You'll get clear reasoning why it is being announced and why it is being created, and how it fits into the events that will already be taking place in the next 2 quarters. So it's one of those things, it's kind of tied into everything else.
Wait, were we announcing a new product on Friday?
We are.
Are we?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know. Is it
if we're announcing a new product on Friday?
I don't know.
It'll be clear. It'll be clear why.
Yes. We always want to give you guys the most information that we can, minus the teasers from Jedi. So there's always clear reasoning for why we're doing things. And of course, if it's something that Lunar DAO is really against, everyone has the right to do an LIP and say, hey, we're not feeling this. We would like to go a different direction. And all of that is allowed, put up for vote and all of those things. Everyone has a say. That's the whole point of DAO, to be heard. So we just want, you guys to know that we're not doing this to direct the ship away from other things or to distract from things being currently built. It's just us to be forward thinking, the next thing that we can do to make Lunar better for everybody. So that's the goal. But we do appreciate that, and we do see what that is. But Jedi is focusing on Lunar Mint. It's just one of those things, this is all kind of tied together. So when it is announced, whatever is announced, you'll see all the details and how it flows together for sure. So I'm pretty excited about that when that happens.
Well, look, and to elaborate on that just a tiny bit, I'm busy, guys, like on everything Lunar. I spend probably 60 hours a week on this stuff at least. I'm slammed. Like, do I want to add something else to that list? Hell no, we got a lot to do. But here's the thing, like, as we move forward, everything gets attention in equal measure. I have to be, this is where like my attention deficit disorder actually works in my favor. Like you have to harness your superpowers one way or another and turn your deficits into superpowers. And I'm able to jump from like thing to thing that needs to get done relatively quickly, and also have honed the ability to focus where I need to be able to get things done. And so like, I'm not going to add anything to my list that doesn't have to be done. That does not have to be available. If anything is added to the list, it's because it has to get done. And so if you see something new or something you haven't heard of, or if there's anything that comes out that you're like, hey, where'd that come from? What's the idea? Everything that I do is about bringing like the maximum effectiveness and the maximum usability to our ecosystem. If I'm ever focused on doing something and you're like, why is he, perfect example, why are we focused on Lunar accounts? Or why did we spend 2 weeks working on, why when we passed the governance platform did we spend time working on Lunar accounts? Lunar accounts are the gateway to everything in the ecosystem. Absolutely everything. Everything that you do is going to have a hybrid Web 2, Web 3 login. Everything that we do. So that's critical. And you may think, well, logging in's not a big deal. In Web3, that problem's not solved yet. Okay? It's not. integrated identities is not a thing that exists. And so we're going to will that to fruition because we need it. If we didn't need it, I'm not going to frickin' spend another second on it, because outside of Lunar, I would actually like to see my kids occasionally. So, like, just keep that in mind as we're moving forward through things. Everything that we do has 4 or 5 different ancillary targets in mind. And like, I'm not just killing one bird with one stone. I'm like using a shotgun to spray the widest amount of pellets possible and hit the widest number of targets. So sorry if that's a violent image for some of you, but that's like, I'm trying to take stuff down in a big way and make 1 + 1 = 5. So just keep that in mind as you see things coming over the next days and weeks ahead.
That's appreciated, because I think the people that is, honestly, for me too, I didn't realize that, the login was kind of essential, that it had to be completed in order for these other steps to take place, because I think we take those things for granted sometimes, and having that developed so that we can actually access the things that you are building is kind of critical. I mean, if you can't log in, you can't see it. So
Yeah.
just as an example, and explaining it that way helps me understand a little bit more about what it is that you're doing. So we appreciate it when that stuff goes.
Yeah. And you have to logging in's important. There's another feature that's there under the covers. It's geography. Like, we are barred by international sanctions from doing business in certain countries. We have to be able to enforce that. As much as we want to be able to do business everywhere, we're legally required to enforce international sanctions as much as possible. Lunar Accounts is actually doing that under the covers. That's how we make sure that we are making our, as an entity, our best efforts to comply within legal restrictions, right? And so all of those things, like, they're like, I could spend weeks probably talking about all of the different things and how they intersect, but everything has an intersection and a purpose, and everything that you see has a deep reason behind why this is the building block that has to be here at this time to enable the next thing. And if there is anything I'm good at, it is seeing the entire Lego sculpture and knowing which piece to put down next. So, at least from a technical perspective. So, hope that helps some people with context.
It does. I guess, would you mind sharing kind of like what stage we are with like Mint, as far as like an untechnical side for us, noobs?
Yeah, so I mean, like, here's the fun part. Like, you all experienced V1 of that product, or at least 600 some odd people that bought NFTs did. Or, yeah, we have 600 NFT holders. So, close to 7 figures in revenue came through that product. And I know, like, and this is the thing I deal with constantly with that product. Like, why do we do NFTs? Why is nobody cares about NFTs? Blah, blah, blah. Like, it's a contract. It's a crypto contract that executes through a wallet and provides a complicated use case for why Lunar is thinking about this in a different way. And, like, say what you want, every single person, we did not hear one negative piece of feedback from that process. Not one. In 600 transactions. And we were approaching 7 figures on the revenue for that. So, like, people can poo-poo NFTs all they want. That was personally a win for me and my team. That was the single largest amount of revenue of any product I've ever built in the shortest amount of time, with a near perfect approval rating. So, like, as far as I'm concerned, like, did it suck that it came out that we had 2 failed attempts at the beginning? Yeah, it did. Did it suck that the price of BNB went down during the time that we were trying to get the thing moving? Yeah, it did. Did we launch a hugely successful product? Absolutely. And so I'm really excited that that part of the process is done, and that it's at a point where we can, with a little effort, rebrand that for other people to be able to run their successful mints and provide a bespoke minting experience to creators. The part that so Lunar Mint for collectors is essentially finished. At least for this release, there are going to be some things that we need to do to automate the branding experience, and to be able to let it run on multiple subdomains or primary domains. And so that needs to be done. The work that's being done right now is primarily around how a creator is going to manage their mint. And I talked about it. I go through it in quite a bit of detail in the governance forum, but there's a lot of details that you may not think about when you're thinking about how a mint runs. How are you going to manipulate the metadata? How are you going to deploy the metadata? How are you going to deploy the contract? Are you going to use our contract? Are you going to use your own contract? Are you going to use our upgradable platform? Are you going to take a royalty? How do you manage us taking a royalty? We're going to take a royalty out of every transaction, even transfers. How do you do that? How do you understand how that works? How do you comply with what OpenSea requires versus other platforms? How do you handle when you're going to get paid out those royalties? How do you make changes or mint new tokens? How do you do a private sale versus a allow list sale versus a public sale? Like, we already answered those questions when running our own sale, and the system already supports those things. But how do you make it available for somebody who doesn't have access to the database like we do to be able to go in and configure those things? All of those are the things that are in progress now. Fortunately for us, we do still have access to the database and we can go make changes. And so not every one of these things requires 100% feature complete in order to pick 5 projects that we want to work with to run mints externally. And so we're going to be working through that process, and you'll have a little bit more insight into timelines for that here shortly. But just to give you a rough idea, like it's doesn't matter what it is in the Lunar ecosystem. Everything that you see is more complicated under the covers than you think. And that's why Lunar exists. Lunar exists because most technical people don't put in the effort to bring the level of simplicity that's required to the system. They deal with the complexity, and that complexity is bubbled up to the end user. So that's why your wallet sucks. That's why when there's an error message, you don't know what's going on. That's why when you use your wallet and a transaction fails and you're on an exchange like Rubrik or something like that, and the transaction fails, like, you have to open up the developer console to even get and see the JavaScript output to even get any idea of what happened in the ecosystem. That sucks. The level of effort, energy, and attention that Lunar puts into this ecosystem is to make sure that not only can we build on top of and ship everything as if somebody else is going to integrate with it, because our own employees are also customers of the code that we write, but also the ecosystem has to be able to build on top of that, use it, and people who deliver pizzas for a living, or people that are delivering for Uber, or like normal everyday human beings that don't give a crap about crypto besides, hey, can I do something cool with it, need to be able to use it. That takes time, effort, energy, expense, resources. And that's where the time and attention is being put into the Lunar ecosystem. And again, if you see us putting time and attention into something, it's because we feel that a short burst of effort in a given space can produce revenue that does not require selling Lunar in order to fund the ecosystem. That is the focus. That one concept is the focus of everything that you will see the Lunar Foundation do in the next 6 months. is how do you build value with LNR that doesn't require you selling LNR to fund the ecosystem? / end rant.
No, we always enjoy your rants because then we get a lot of information that way. So, besides it being another form of income that is not tied to Lunar for our use for development and things like that, it also is it gets our name out there. Anytime that we can get more eyes on us and what we're doing through any avenue is always beneficial. It's marketing. It's organic marketing that is more sustainable in the long term.
Organic marketing tends to be free, folks. So like as much of that we can do as possible in an ecosystem that like extracts money from unsuspecting projects on trying to do marketing nonsense. It's time, and we have a big enough community to be able to leverage our own voices and our own size to get the word out in a way that doesn't cost anybody money.
I know it comes up on occasion about the faction NFTs and stuff like that. So I just wanted to kind of like clarify. Those are basically our way of testing out the system before we test out the system. Isn't that correct, Master Jedi? Being able to look at those things, see how it works, and kind of go from there. And that's why those are, besides trying to fulfill previous promises to the extent that we're able to, and still deliver the products that we can, but that's
I mean,
the idea for it.
Look, realistic. So and I'm just gonna like transparently give you kind of a breakdown of like the faction NFTs and like why some features that we built exist. So we did the Expoverse NFTs, and like the concept of giving away NFTs is great. Like, hey, cool. Like, we support NFTs. Like, look, a one-to-one digital representation of physical ownership is the future. Full stop. If you don't think it's the future, then catch up, because it is. And that's just a fact. Like, you can deny it. You can say, oh, that's not a big deal. It is a big deal. Representing that you own something in the digital world, a physical asset in the digital world, is going to be the future of just about everything. Okay, so the challenge that comes up is, okay, great, we awarded 3 NFTs in the Expoverse. How are we going to give those out? Well, you're not going to put them on the Lunar Crystals contract. That doesn't make any sense. So it needs its own contract. Great. That means it needs its... Okay, so now they're their own NFTs, so they have metadata about a specific event. Great. The Lunar Crystals know nothing about specific events and have no metadata about that, so you got to do metadata about that. Okay, so then outside of the dev team's idea structure, the team comes up with, hey, let's do faction NFTs. Okay, great. Faction NFTs are awarded. Dev team's busy doing other stuff, doesn't even like know this thing happened. Okay, so NFTs have to go out. Now what? Okay, well, now we have this concept in general of Lunar wants to be able to give NFTs out that have nothing to do with the crystals, where each NFT like category, as it were, could have different metadata. So the entire collection doesn't have the same metadata. Each individual NFT could have a different set of metadata representing different circumstances. Okay, great. Are these NFTs going to be like traded and sold, or are they going to be awarded and purchased? Okay, these are going to be awarded. So how do you manage deploying those NFTs out to people? Okay, we're going to do another season. That means that we have to take an NFT that already exists and clone it and change some of the metadata, because some of the metadata is going to be different, and then award that to another group of people. Okay, so what started out as an easy concept of, hey, let's just give some people NFTs, once again, the technology and what's required is more complicated than what you might see on its face. And so some people, even some people in the project might have said, hey, let's just like manually write this metadata and dump it into the system and be done. Well, that's all fine and good, but then when you have to do the next one, every time you add NFTs, you have to upload new metadata to IPFS. You have to execute a function on the contract that changes where that metadata is located. And then you have to refresh that metadata across any ecosystem that's using it. And all of that requires time, effort, energy, and there's a point within that resource usage where the time spent managing a crappy manual system far outweighs the time spent automating it. And especially as you start to scale that out to other things that we want to do, becomes a problem. So again, me being really good at knowing what the Lego pieces are and knowing what needs to be next, and knowing that there's an admin console that has to be built that manages the entire Lunar ecosystem, that we as a company, whether it's a DAO or the foundation or Lunar DeFi Inc., has to be able to know what's going on in the ecosystem and be able to manage all of these contracts on all of these chains across all of these products. Already had to build things to be able to manage that. And so we started building that. We started saying, hey, if we want to be able to add one new NFT to just one, and we wanted to give that to somebody on the Lunar Award NFT contract, and oh, by the way, the work that we did on the Crystals NFTs were designed specifically to be able to take that contract and deploy it infinitely to an infinite number of NFT projects on an infinite number of chains. Okay. We did the work on that early so we wouldn't have to do it again later. Okay. So you're starting to hopefully see, as I'm talking about this, all of these different things that come into play and come into effect. Then how can I add one new NFT, pick the art for that NFT, set the metadata for it, automatically have all of the stuff that needs to happen on the interplanetary file system and the NFT contract in order to update it, and then airdrop that token to a person. What does that take? Good news, folks. We did that work already. We understood what a lot of that was, and we built out like 92, maybe 91, 92% of it, something like that. So that's done. Done, paid for, part of the old system, right? People ask, where did the money for the NFT go that you raised for the NFT goes? It went back into code, folks. Okay. So not all of it, but a lot of it went to marketing. Most of it went to, or the NFT stuff, the development broke even on that. So a little more detail than I wanted to give, but so that functionality was already paid for. So the work that's left is about, okay, that was for us and we're still technical and we know that all this BS that we have to deal with is still going to be there and spinning up, getting a contract deployed. What's left to be able to make sure that not us can do some of this and be successful and have it be a net positive experience that they'll talk about. And a lot of that has to do with taking UI that was utilitarian in nature, was just for us, and making it into a wizard-esque kind of experience that walks you through the process and gets you to a destination. And that's where the next several months of effort are going to be in the Mint platform, is making sure that we get to the point where all we have to do is talk about Lunar Mint, and anybody that's a creator can go to a website, can pay for a subscription, can sign up automatically, can create their collection, can deploy a test collection on the testnet, can upload their imagery, can manipulate their metadata, can create multiple sales, a private sale, a private whitelist sale, or allow list sale, a public allow list sale, and a real sale, multiple real sales if they want, and execute those sales automatically. And that sounds like a lot because it freaking is a lot of work. And we want that process over the next 6 months to go from needing the dev team to handhold customers through that experience to it being 100% automatic. And when that happens, when you get to the point where it can be 90 to 100% automatic, and Lunar Mint is running, we're going to go from 5 mints a month to 20 mints a month to 100 mints a month to 10 mints a day. We need that system to be able to support that without having to go back and rewrite crap 5 times in order to get that transaction volume. So we've done the work for that. We know what that means. We're executing on that process, and we're going to continue to refine through end user interactions how to make that sign up process for creators as automatic as possible. Because if we get monthly subscription revenue from creators, because a creator's not going to want to pay $500. These are just like example numbers, by the way. Does a creator, an underrepresented creator who just wants to get their art out into the world, want to pay, as an example, $500 at once, or do they want to pay $50 a month forever to manage the platform? Well, I'm going to want them to pay $50 a month, and I'm going to want them to renew next year and continue to use the platform to manage their customers and connect with their customers who love their products. So like getting that together, and oh, by the way, you can pay for that with LNR, you can pay for that with stablecoin, you can pay for that with a credit card. Like having those options diversifies our treasury, diversifies our revenue process, and makes the ecosystem self-sustaining in terms of the development process. And so as we release those products, those are the focus. That's what we're doing. That's what we're working on. And oh, by the way, like in case your brain hasn't already exploded yet, I'm going to tell you that everything that we do within that code base reinforces other aspects of the code base. So changes and improvements we make to the core design of the system then get picked up by every app across the board simply by redeploying that application. Like the level of engineering that has been done and the groundwork that was set over the last year that was paid for by a private company to now allow the DAO to use that publicly to ship products. Every single thing that we do makes it just a little bit faster to ship the next thing, and just a little bit faster to ship the next thing. And we will get to a point with this ecosystem where we will release so many things on a monthly basis that you are going to wonder how the hell anybody was able to do that. Because this team right now, with as few people are involved, are shipping at a quality level and a cadence of a team 3 times that size. So like bookmark this timestamp in the YouTube video when it goes up later today, and listen to it once a week so you can understand the level of technical detail, the level of thought, the level of engineering that goes into making sure that every single thing that we ship, 1 + 1 = 5. The next thing that gets checked in, that gets built, that gets compiled, that's out the door, is making the other 3 things in the ecosystem better. And how are we going about doing that? So I hope that helps. And I'm going to take a drink and stop talking now.
No, you're fine. So, I was going to touch base on this, and I'm glad I was reminded. So we had the facility meeting yesterday. So basically, what they had told us is they think that Lunar looks great. The tech, the audit, all of the things in works. They think that it's amazing. The only thing that we need to do now is basically get volume up, and then we're good to go. So that's something that obviously I can't do alone. So community effort and things like that will be, involved in that. But honestly, it was a very positive meeting. The gentleman that we spoke to, he's like, I think Lunar is great. So like I said, we just need to get some more volume up and things like that, and then we'll be good to go. So I just wanted to share that with you guys.
And I want to elaborate on that too. It's
Please.
in line with a lot of the criticism we've seen from the community. Because look, you guys are great, but like criticism is helpful, even if it's delivered in unhelpful ways. Most of you guys are really good at delivering positive criticism for the community. But look, it's like, as much as in the last 3 months, I've been like, we're not focused on the token right now. We're focused on getting everything squared away and moving forward. Like realistically speaking, in the ecosystem, we have to start balancing that out a little more and focusing on how are we have these assets that are available to us. There are 15 million people watching the original CMC account. I watched it yesterday. I stayed logged into the old account yesterday and watched, and there were 300 new people that followed the approved Lunar, or the verified Lunar CMC account. We're not leveraging that right now. That's an issue. That's a problem. That's we have a resource that we're not leveraging to its maximum effectiveness. So how do we do that? How do we make sure I hear people all the time where all they see, the only information they get from the ecosystem is the token price. And if that's the only thing you've seen, can understand why people are or some people are upset. If all you do is open your wallet and go, well, that's gone down again, and you don't know what else is going on in the ecosystem, like I understand sentiment. I understand why people have a problem with that. So how do we solve that? How do we do what we're doing and continue to focus on everything that we're focusing on and also make sure that we are reaching a maximum number of people to understand the potential of what's next and get them involved? And you will see that's really the last step to locking this thing down and being able to make a big impact in a big way. And so you're going to see over the next few weeks major steps taken to make sure that we are leveraging the resources that we have and this hidden resource in the 40,000 holders in the ecosystem. How do we get everybody more involved? How do we make that number larger? And how do we get spread the message? So you're going to see changes very soon that are going to be addressing those things directly. And we'll have more to communicate on how folks can help make sure that we get maximum visibility on what we're doing to help drive excitement and drive the token to get it to where we need to go to finish this deal off. So we'll have more information on that as soon as we can. Understand that we were already thinking about some of these things going into the meeting, and it was clearly communicated to us that that's like solving that problem is the last step within this process. So I'm very excited about how everything is going to align to be able to make that happen.
Yeah, and to be very clear, if we hadn't have taken the steps that we had in the beginning to make sure that there was additional product and not just a token, they wouldn't even be looking at us if it was just a token. If we hadn't have had the NFT side, the minting app, if they hadn't have had previews of other things or the audit the way that it was, I mean, they wouldn't even be considering things like that. So price was not something that was even mentioned. That wasn't something that was a concern for them. It was more of, like I had said, that they would just like to, see more volume. They want to see some excitement, and that is something that we can drive as a community, and that's easily, fixed. We just stay the course. But I was very positive after the meeting. So
bullish.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I was very excited. It was hard for me to wait till today, but I had to tease Prof. So that is why.
To follow on, because I can't help myself at this point, just for more context, and I've said it in Telegram, I've said it in other places. Like, I've been in sales for a long time. I've raised money other ways for a long time. I've heard a lot of no's in my life through these processes. The thing that you have to understand, and hopefully, like, if I would love for this ecosystem to be able to create and help inspire and create generational wealth and inspire other people to go contribute to the ecosystem. I would love to get to the point where we have developer kits, and like, if you want to go build something cool on top of Lunar, go do it. Like, that would be amazing. And I can't wait for the day when we can make that happen. And something, whether you're a non-technical founder, a technical founder, or somebody who maybe someday wants to be a part of the creator generation, you have to understand that when you're in a meeting and when you are working with somebody who wants to work with you, or who might be interested in working with you, the point of any individual conversation are two things. One, that they don't say no, and that doesn't mean opening your mouth and convincing. Okay. The other thing is to set up the next meeting when you're going to have another meeting. So if what you are doing within that conversation process is eliminating roadblocks, if you are understanding what's in the way of you taking the next step, and can that be resolved or not, that's a productive discussion that moves the ball forward every time. And your job as being on the receiving end of that process and wanting to get somebody else to do something is to remove reasons to say no. get to know as quickly as possible. Don't drag that shit out because you do not want to be, oops, you have to bleep something out again. You do not want to be like having pointless meetings for no reason that just waste your time. Your time is your most precious resource on the planet. Use it as effectively as possible. Second side of that is if there's not a no yet and there's still the possibility for yes, how are you systematically eliminating roadblocks so that at the end of that process, yes is the only answer left? That is how deals get done. And that's not just for investment. That's for, I hope you take away, if you've stayed on the call this long or stayed on the YouTube this long, that's how any deal gets done ever. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in a meeting, in a boardroom, in a coffee shop, whatever. Your job to move your personal ball forward is to eliminate roadblocks to no, or is eliminate the roadblocks to yes. So I've done enough fundraising to know that we have a, I don't want to overplay. I'm not going to overplay. I'm not going to set unreasonable expectations. We are still in the game and we have a clear line of sight to eliminating the last roadblocks.
Like literally the last roadblocks. I mean, in the market the way it is, anyone that is willing to, contribute to a project the way that they're doing speaks so highly because they're not even like I said, they're not even considering others that don't have something to show for and that they're just a token. So I mean, it's extremely positive in my opinion, and we literally have the okay, everything else is great. We need you to do this, and then we're good to go. So, I mean, I feel like that's doable. I mean, we have a clear goal in mind, and we're already working to before the meeting. We're working to get that situated. So I'm excited.
We'll have more to share on that soon. Very exciting. Look, it's easy to look at the token and go, oh, they're dying. Oh, that's sad. Oh, whatever. This was such a great project. Like, stay in the loop, folks. There's so many amazing things going on. We went from like having to pull teeth to get me to be able to write 10,000 words once a month about what was going on, or once a quarter, even in some months when we were crazy busy. We're updating you guys every week. Like, we've made the commitments. The team is working. We are delivering value. We are delivering new things weekly. Major things are getting done in this ecosystem every single week. And that is because this team has dedicated significant portions of their lives to enriching the entire ecosystem. And that's not just the foundation and the directors, that's the mods, that's all of you that are out chilling. All of you are working hard for this ecosystem, and I wake up every morning owing it to you to do my part to make this thing go absolutely freaking insane. And in 18 months, no less than 100 million people should know who we are. And if that's not exciting to you, then I don't know. Drink some more Red Bulls.
Or Monster. Just teasing.
Or Monster, whatever. Like I don't know. If that's not exciting to you, I can't help you. Sorry.
Oh no, you're fine.
No, I mean, like, I'm sorry I can't help you. Like
yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I don't know. I have a number of suggestions, but I'll keep them to myself.
Well, we do. Like you were saying, we appreciate the community. We appreciate our mods. Maybe you guys have taken on tasks that I just, I'm so appreciative of. Renix takes care of the meme competition, and Miski and Andrea help with the shilling. And there's honestly, you guys are always answering questions to the best of your ability. Even community members are always, tossing ideas, just off the top of my head, Lunar Near and Andre is always helping with the YouTube channel, everything like that. So you guys are what makes us great and makes me want to continue working as hard as I am for you guys. And we just really appreciate you because, we really couldn't do it without you.
Absolutely.
Were there any questions? I didn't get a chance. We were
with me talking. Now, were there any questions?
Are there any questions from the audience that we can get answered for you guys real quick before we get off here? Does anyone have some more that we didn't already cover? Try to be pretty thorough. Sorry, my cat.
I think that's going to be on my tombstone. I think my epitaph is going to be, he was thorough.
I mean, you can't complain. So I don't see any. If you guys have any questions later, go ahead and, like I said, put them in AMA, or you're welcome to message me on TG or tag me in Discord. You know, I'm happy to run those by the people that know it if I don't. So again, we appreciate you. I think we'll go ahead and close this one down, Jedi.
Sure. Can't wait till Friday.
Yes.
Keep those guesses coming. I am going to continue to extract my jollies from misdirecting the lot of you. I'm a sadist that way. I have to have fun with this thing somehow. So I appreciate all of you and your guesses. I hope you're excited because I'm excited. And when you get to finally experience it, I think you'll be excited too. So
Awesome. Well, thank you guys very much for coming to the AMA, and we hope you have a wonderful day.
peace.